Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and this is Flosstube number 89. Today is Saturday, November 20th, and this is a long overdue update. It's been about a month since my last video, and so I have a lot to show you, and I have a lot to talk about. So I just want to jump right in with my previous finishes. So all of the things I finished about 1 year ago in the last month. A year ago. I actually had recently shown you all in a video or two ago these finishes, because although I had finished the stitching a year ago, I had finally sat down and actually fully finished these pieces. So I just showed them to you, but now I'm showing them again because I actually finished stitching these a year ago. So I don't think anyone will mind too much seeing these again. The first one is Lizzie Borden by The Primitive Hare. You can get this as a PDF on the Primitive Hare Etsy website. This is stitched on like a 30 count, I think. It was just a white or cream 30 count linen that I dyed myself, but it was years ago. And I was... I don't even remember exactly what I used, but I remember that it was I was doing something weird with the way I was dyeing this fabric, and I don't dye fabric that way anymore. Anyway, I like the effect, especially for this piece, and it's just stitched with DMC. And I finished this on a board I got from the Target Dollar Days spots. It was $3, but that was a couple of years ago. They have some really good stuff at the Target Dollar Days for Christmas. Right now, I was in a week or two ago, and I bought a couple of things to use for finishing. So sometimes you can find some cute stuff that would work for finishing. This one had so it was like a red board, but it had this ribbon. You can see where I just cut it off. It had all this ribbon crisscrossing in the front, and it was to hold Christmas cards. So I just cut the ribbon off, and this piece fits perfectly in there. I also finished about a year ago by the Witchy Stitcher. I had to think for a second. The Witchy Stitcher, this is Ouija board. This is the original. There's a couple of Ouija boards now that she's put out, but this was like the OG Ouija board. This is 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself. Again, years ago, and using a method that I don't use any longer, although it came out really cool, so maybe I need to try it again. And this is stitched with just 2 colors of DMC, 310 and Blanc. And I love this piece so much. And no, it does not freak me out at all to have a Ouija board in my house. It does not bother me at all. And another one I showed last time or the time before was another finish that I had stitched. I had finished stitching it about a year ago, but I hadn't fully finished it. It was kind of sitting around. This is Witch Shoes by M. Kissa Creations, and she's on Etsy as well. And Flosstube. And this was a sign from Michael's, and I just did a flat finish and hung this from the sign. This is a 32 count, I think it's called Old Penny. I think it's a Zweigart linen stitched with DMC. And it's stitched up really, really fast. Okay, so those were ones you had already seen, but I also, in the last year, finished, or a year ago, I had finished a Mill Hill kit. Words are hard today. A Mill Hill kit called Come Stitch. This was really fun to stitch, and it came out really cute. And I just finished it with some felt on the back and a ribbon hanger. You can see, just like all the Mill Hills, it's on perforated paper with DMC and lots of beads. And then last but not least, a year ago, I finished the Witch House. I think it's, oof. Okay. The designer is Wild Violet Cross Stitch. And I believe, I always get the name of this one messed up. I think it's Witch House in Salem, is the name of the pattern. And she has another one that's somewhat similar to this that says Hocus Pocus, and it's got the Hocus Pocus house. This is a similar pattern to that. So she's got two really nice Salem house patterns that you can check out at her website. This is stitched on 20, it was a 25 count. It was from an ornament pack from Under the Sea Fabrics. I cannot recall what the actual name of the fabric is, but it was a 25 count and I stitched 1/1 with DMC. So it's itty bitty. And I finished this as a flat ornament. I love that one. Okay, so those were my previous finishes. And then I actually have some finishes from recent, like from the last month. So the first one I'm going to have to insert a video because I have sent it away. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, Liz from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, had contacted me and asked if I wanted to join in with a small, like, private Christmas ornament exchange she was doing with some of her friends. And I said, of course, yes. And then she sent us our partners, and we're all just now finding out who our partners are because packages are starting to be received. I haven't gotten mine yet, so I'm not sure yet who stitched for me, but I was assigned to stitch for Evelyn at Evelyn Across the Pond, and I was so excited. So she actually received her package today and sent a message, so I'm going to insert the video of what I stitched for her and how I finished it, and I'll insert that here. Okay, so here is my ornament that I made for Evelyn at Evelyn Across the Pond. And today is November 11th, and I need to get this in the mail Saturday, the 12th. So I wanted to film this for insertion in a later video. This is called Holly Jolly Christmas, and the designer is Tiny Modernist. I got this in the Just Cross Stitch magazine ornament, Christmas ornament issue of 2019. You may be able to get it directly from Tiny Modernist now. I know sometimes they're exclusive to the magazine for 6 months or a year, and then the designer can release them. So you can check with her. This is stitched with the called for DMC floss, and I stitched this on an 18 count Ada from Under the Sea Fabrics, and it's called Avalon. I don't know if you can tell. I think you maybe could tell. It's, very slight modeling and variegation. Like it's a little bit like pinky, purpley, and then more blue up here. So just a nice, subtle, really cute fabric that the colors looked really good on. And I finished this as an ornament, of course. And I just had this fabric in stash for the back. And then I used Lady Dot pom-pom trim in Snow, which is just white, and then a white ribbon for the hanger. And I think it turned out so, so cute, and I hope Evelyn likes it. And yeah, there is a finish. Tiny Modernist, Holly Jolly Christmas. Okay, so it came out super cute, and it was really fun to stitch, and I love stitching Tiny Modernist patterns. They're really easy to stitch, and she always has like really bright, cheerful colors. So they're just fun to stitch. So another finish I had, my friend Bart at Park Hopper Bart, he's on Flosstube and Instagram, and he designs under that name. And he came out, I think it was on Halloween Day, I'm pretty sure. He released this pattern on our Halloween, and I just like fell in love with this. So it's a play on A Christmas Carol by Dickens. The quote from that is, "I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year." And he changed it to, "I will honor Halloween in my heart and try to keep it all the year." And so I purchased immediately, and I kitted up immediately, and I think I started it that night. I think I just kind of like, I just embraced it. Like, it was Halloween and I was feeling it. So this was actually a really fast stitch, but I did change mine quite a lot in that I pulled random floss from stash and I totally did a different fabric. So here is how mine came out. So I had these hand-dyed by Rolanda Halloween flosses that I had bought last year. And one of them was this super variegated from like orange to purple to black. And it's one of those flosses where you're like, that's beautiful. It's such a cool floss, but like, what am I going to do with that floss? When am I going to use it? And so I decided to use it here in the letters. And then I pulled like just a random green from stash. And then this is just DMC 310. So it's only 3 colors in here. No, I lied. The pumpkin is also just like a random orange I had in stash. The fabric is a 30 count, I believe. There's a little fuzzy on there. I think it's a 30 count, and Diana from It Is Kismet Stitches had actually sent this to me as a gift, that she had dyed it. I have no idea what technique she used to dye it, but it turned out amazing. And I've had this fabric, like, I love it. It's beautiful, but like I couldn't ever quite find like the right thing to stitch on it. And so I decided to kind of take a chance. I really didn't know how this was going to turn out. I was hoping it was going to turn out really good. I'm really happy with how it turned out, but I was a little nervous going in on how it was going to look, but I really, really like it. So you can see it's quite different than Bart's, which is also so nice. But his is just on like a beautiful beige, and he used, you know, DMC 310. This is a tray. And I had found this at my craft thrift store. It's from Sudbury House. It's it's a 9 by 9 inch tray. It's really nicely made. Here's what was like inside the tray. I found this at my craft thrift store for like $8. And when I showed it, you know, I've been holding on to it for a while. When I showed it, you know, 2 years ago or whenever it was that I found it, somebody had messaged me and they were like, that was a really, really good find, because those trays are not cheap. Like, I think they said, and I could totally be making this up, but I think they said they're like $60 or $70. So apparently I got quite a bargain when I found it for $8. And it is really well constructed. It's solid wood. It's a nice tray. I don't know that I would pay $60 for it, but I would pay $8 for it, and I did. So there's that. And then my last finish is long overdue. So I had agreed to participate in Cross Stitch University with the Fat Quarter Shop, and this was a stitch along that they hosted. And it started back in, I think it started in August or September. And basically it was like a very beginner from the start, like basics, breaking down for people who want to learn how to cross stitch, which of course I already know how to learn. I already know how to cross stitch, but if you have like, you know, anybody in your life who is like, oh, you're cross stitching, that's so cool, I'd love to learn, and you maybe can't or don't want to take the time to teach them, I would highly recommend you refer them to this series from Fat Quarter Shop, which is totally free, and it's on their YouTube. And they start from the very beginning, like, what is floss, what is fabric, how to choose it, how to measure it to make sure you have the right size, how to start your stitching, like with the loop method, how to railroad your stitches, how to do French knots, how to do back stitch. Like they cover all the basics, and they do it with this pattern, which is a really small, simple, cute little pattern. So this is Cross Stitch University from the Fat Quarter Shop. And I finally actually got mine stitched up and finished. So I used the called for DMC, and I stitched mine on 28 count Monaco from Charles Craft. And the color is tea dyed, which makes you think like I tea dyed it, but that is not the case. It's actually, the color is called tea dyed. But It's a solid color. It's it doesn't have like that modeling that you can get from actually tea dyeing your fabric yourself. But the floss shows up really good on it. So here is mine. This is 28 count Monaco stitched over 2. And I finished it using their tutorial, their flat fold tutorial. So that to me was the star of this series. So like I said, it's a series of cross stitch tutorials about like the basics, but then at the end, they actually have a tutorial on how to do a flat fold. And I highly recommend that because, you know, people often ask me if I can do one, if I could do a tutorial on flat folds, and it's just something I haven't like been able to like sit down and do. And now I don't have to, because the one from Fat Quarter Shop is really, really good. What I really liked about it is it's like short and sweet. I think it's like 11 minutes, but you learn exactly how to make this. And it's just in a simple, easy to follow way. There are some other flat fold tutorials out there that I find excessively long and mostly confusing, which is why I taught myself how to do it. And once you kind of get the idea of it, it's really easy to make these. But that first time you're kind of like, how does this book thing come together? How do we do this? So I highly recommend the tutorial from Fat Quarter Shop. If you've never made a flat fold and you'd like to give it a go, it's super easy to follow and a really nice tutorial. So there it is. Those were all my finishes. So what have I been working on? Well, mostly what I was working on over the last month were those 3 things I just showed you that I had finished, and my 100-hour marathon project. So backstory. Alicia at Resist Stitch, Erin, 2 Martini Stitcher, Michelle at Bendy Stitchy, and Rachel Ray from Rachel Ray Crafts, I think, Rachel Ray Crafts. They hosted a marathon in September and October for missing, murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirits. And the basis of the marathon was to stitch 100 hours in those 2 months. And you could do that however you wanted, but what most people were doing was to commit 100 hours to one big project. And I chose Rosewood Manor and A Forest Grew. And this was a new start for me on September 1st. And I did not complete my 100 hours by October 31st. And that was for several reasons, primarily because I was traveling for about half of the time of those 2 months. And by traveling, I mean like camping for the weekend. No, we're in a pandemic. I'm not just like traveling everywhere, but we spent almost every weekend or every other weekend in September and the beginning of October camping. So I couldn't take this project with me because it calls for 93 colors of DMC and tons of little motifs that you start and stop, constantly changing color. And that was just way too much to take camping. So I didn't get my 100 hours done, but I was determined that I would get my 100 hours done. And I did. I finally did, but it was in November. So I missed the cutoff, but I did do my 100 hours. So this is with the Called For DMC. It's on a 40 count linen blend. I think it's from Zweigart, and it's called Mallow. And I believe it's a linen and flax blend. It stitches very much like a 40 count linen, but it actually feels a little bit more like an even weave than a linen. It's just a nice, like, simple kind of beigey, oatmeal-y kind of fabric. And here, I can't tell if it's all in frame. Here is what 100 hours looks like on this. So I really thought, I'll be honest, I thought I would finish this corner or come a lot closer than I did with my 100 hours. And the reason I thought that is because the top half of this pattern took me about 56 hours. So I thought, okay, like 50 more hours would get me close to a finish. But I really slowed down in the bottom for a couple of reasons. So when I was doing the top, I was mostly listening to audiobooks. So I was just, or watching Flosstube. So I was just stitching away. But when I got to this bottom section, about like, let me fold this so I can hold it. About, I would say, like right in here, I started watching movies as I was stitching this, and it really slowed me down because I was like stopping and looking up a lot to watch the movies. So I do feel like I lost a little steam. And then this tree trunk, this massive tree trunk in the center, like was really, it wasn't that it was hard, but I had to concentrate really hard on all the counting in there. Yeah, so I lost a little steam down there, but I still think, you know, I thought 110 hours might do it. Now I'm thinking maybe more like 120 hours. I think I might have 20 hours left in this. And I still have to, you know, fill in the words in the center. Of course, that shouldn't take long. I did leave my initials, initials and year. I left out of here for now. Just in case I don't finish it in 2021, I really want to, but just in case. So I've already charted my quote for the center. I do hope to get back to this soon. It's so pretty. So one thing I will say about this chart is the cover on the photo, the photo on the cover does not do it justice. It's pretty, it's colorful on this photo, but in real life, it is much more colorful. So I'm going to kind of come in and like do a slow scroll. Hopefully. I want you guys to know I can't see what I'm doing right now. So I'm sorry if this isn't all in frame, but I really can't see. But hopefully you can see some of those colors. Like it's really bright and really cheerful. And it's really fun as you're stitching it to be like, oh, a little deer, a little bunny, a little mouse, a lot of birds. And a lot of starting, stopping, changing colors. And more than that, a lot of careful counting. So I definitely hit a wall at various points in this project where I was just really over it. Like, hey, I really don't want to stitch on this anymore. But I'm going to, because I'm going to do my 100 hours on it. But then I'd get really into it again and I'd be having a lot of fun with it. And then I'd get kind of burnt out again. When I finally hit my 100 hours, I really didn't want to put it away because I was like, okay, the end is in sight. Like we're getting there. So I do want to get that back out soon. The only thing is that I can't do that until I catch up on my next work in progress, which is the Modern Folk Embroidery Fruit of Plenty Stitch Along, the 2021 Stitch Along. I am not far behind, but now that I have finally completed that 100 hours, this has to be my focus until I'm caught up because I am finishing this year. So here's where we're at. This is a 40 count Fortnite Fabrics called Caravan Tan. Just the most beautiful neutral fabric. I love it so much. And I used 2 Valdani silks, Mossy Green and Deep Blue Sea, I think is what the colors are. And I haven't even started November, which is at the very bottom center. So I still need to do that. I am up here currently on September, and I've gotten a lot done here on September, but it needs to look like what we see over here. So you can see I have all of this, like this section right here, I still have to do. Basically, I have to do all of the Yazizi right here. So these frames take a lot longer than you think. I think those are honestly what takes the longest on this project. Like, look how many rows of single stitches. You think it can't take that long, but it ends up taking hours. The Assisi is what I always thought was going to take the longest. And for me, it feels like it goes by pretty fast. So anyway, I had jumped down and done October so that I wouldn't get too far behind, because October seemed like it would be faster than September. So now I have to go back and finish September, and then I still need to do November to get ready for that last part of December. I'm knocking stuff down. So now that I have finally finished that 100 hours, which was taking up a lot of my time, this is my focus. Soon, because first I had to start a few. I had to reward myself with some new starts. But that will be my focus going in like the last week, this last bit of November. That's my focus. I started, I think I showed this last video. I think I did more progress on hands-on design, philanthropic pumpkin. This is a stitch along that I'm doing with Victor Flosstube and Aaron 2 Martini Stitcher, and it's called Fill the Pumpkin Sal. And this was a kit. It was a limited edition kit. I was going to say I don't believe, but I actually know you can't get this. It was a limited release, and I am using everything that came in the kit, which you had to provide your own DMC, but here's the fabric. So it was just 5 colors of DMC, and I'm using the called for colors. And here's where I'm at on that. And the kit comes with everything you need for the finish. It comes with the fabric and the trim and those little pumpkin pens and all the instructions. It's stitching up fast. I just had to set it aside to focus on the Cross Stitch University chart. So then I started with Alicia at Resist Stitch. I told her I wanted to start something with her, and we kind of threw out a couple of things. I was like, you know, here's what I've been thinking of starting. And she was like, I have that pattern, let's start that. So we started Bendy Stitchy Hildy at the Apothecary, which is a collaboration with Deanna from Darling and Whimsy Designs. And I think might be my favorite Hildy. I love Hildy. I have stitched several of the Hildies. I own all of them. But this one might be my favorite. I really love this one. So this has become my lunchtime stitching at work. And I am making good progress, I think. I'm almost done with the cabinet. I just have the cauldron or the bowl. Like there's a mixing bowl right here. That's all I have left to do on the cabinet. This is a mystery linen that Victor sent me, or it's a Lugana. It's a 32 count Lugana. I think it's from Be Stitch Me, but I don't know what it's called. But it seemed like it would work really well for this chart, and I think it does. The chart is stitched on Earthen from Picture This Plus, which is a pinkish tone, and I think this is really close. And I love it. So I will continue to work on that. That is my lunchtime stitching. And then my last new start. I had committed to start this weeks ago, but that 100 hours, it was hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to even like keep up, which I didn't. I had to stitch at least 2 hours a night, sometimes 3. So that was like all of my stitching time. So anyway, once I finished my 100 hours, my reward was a new start on Fox and Rabbit Designs, Mary Morgan's. So this is a stitch along I'm doing with Noah at Noah's Stitches and Alexis at Alexis My Amazing World. And this was a chart that when it came out, I was like, oh, pretty. And then I was watching the Fox and Rabbit Flosstube with Karen and Brendan, and they showed the model for this. And unfortunately, the picture on the cover just does not do justice to this chart. It's colorful and it's beautiful, but like when they showed it, it was even more colorful, way more colorful. And I was like, I have to have that. Like, you know, well, I think a lot of you know, maybe not all of you, but a lot of you, I think, know when you see a chart and it's just like instant love. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes that chart, you know, you see that new release and you're just like, I think, you know, as Laura from Brenda and the Cereal Starter, as Laura calls it, it's like a hernia and a heart attack. Like, you see that chart and you're just like, oh, like, I must have it. And that's how I felt when I saw this. It's like, I need it. Because the colors are so bright and vibrant. Let me show you. I will show you the colors. I immediately thought of Lisa Frank. These, to me, are like Lisa Frank colors, right? Just super wild, rainbow, super bright. I mean, look at these greens. Look at these colors. They're wild. So I thought of Lisa Frank, and oh, this is just DMC, by the way. So I said, I'm going to call this the Lisa Frank Sal. Now, come to find out, the phrase on the sampler, which is in Welsh, says, "Thou shalt not judge, neither judge." That's one translation. Basically, like, it's one of those, like, judge not, lest you be judged. So Noah also created the hashtag No Judgment Sal. So it's Lisa Frank Sal and No Judgment Sal. And I started on mine, and it is so fun to stitch, and it's so pretty. Ugh. So I did a last second fabric switch, and I do mean last second. I had like an hour before I was set to start this, I was like, I just don't know about this fabric. I had picked like a Zweigart Platinum 40 count fabric, a very just basic, like beigey fabric. Because the design is so bright and colorful, I thought, you know, I don't want to detract from it. And I'm just gonna, you know, do this simple fabric. Well, when I got to like preparing to start, I realized that my margins were going to be a lot tighter than I thought. It's a fat quarter, and this will fit on a 40 count fat quarter with a smallish margin. But if you have like an 18 by 27 inch fat quarter, it's not too bad. It's about 2 inches. But my fat quarter was 17 by 27 inches. And so I was losing an inch, and I wasn't sure about the fabric and things. I was just like, I don't know. And then I had that day gotten my order from Barbaral Creations. She's a European dyer. And I had bought a fat quarter of a 46 count fabric. And I was like, I wonder, like, something's telling me that might work. So I did a floss toss. It made the colors pop. It looked really good. So I did a last minute switcheroo, and I'm so happy I did because I think it's looking so good. So I started in the center of the chart, and here is that flower in the center. Look at it. My camera's trying to cool the fabric. It's a very warm fabric. So as I come in, it's trying to change the tone a little bit. But look at that rose. Can you even? Can you even? So like I said, this, unfortunately, the chart cover, it just doesn't do justice. I mean, the rose is very beautiful, but it's even more vibrant and colorful in real life. It's so hard to take a photo and get it to look right. That's really hard. And then you know, then printers like change things. So I just want everybody to know that this chart is even more stunning than the photo makes it appear. And this fabric is gorgeous. I am obsessed with this fabric. It is called, let me see. So like I said, it's Barbaral Creations, and the color is called Dijon, and it's a 46 count. So that gave me a much nicer margin. So funny thing, Noah is stitching his on a 32 count. So his fab, so this is an 11 by 11 Q snap. His rose on the 32 count takes up like almost the whole Q snap, whereas mine just takes up this like nice little delicate. This needle minder is from It's Charms School. She actually custom made this for me. I showed her the chart and I asked her if she could make something that was like Lisa Frank-esque, and that's what she came up with, and I love it. And I got one and sent one to Noah and Alexis too. I might want this for my cover photo. It's just so amazing. Like, I just can't, like, I'm like forcing this on all of you because it's so nice and I'm obsessed. Alexis made us matching project bags. I asked her to just pick like the most crazy rainbow fabric she could find. So she made us these project bags. And look at this. This is like a rhinestone like trim. I love it. And then she got me this cute little zipper pull too. The inside is like a pretty glittery purple. I love this bag. It's perfect. It is perfect. So I have been stitching like obsessively on that rose. I mean, okay, one last time. One last time, guys. We need to see it one last time. Look at it. Just look at it. I want to stitch it on everything. On everything. That reminds me, this shirt I have on is a cross stitch shirt. I didn't cross stitch it. I bought it this way. Let me see if this show. The cuffs are cross stitched. And that is real cross stitch. It's not like a printed design. It's actually cross stitched on there. I mean, I think it was done with a machine, but it's still pretty cool. So, that rose, I would love that rose on like everything. Everything. Okay, so that was all my stitching. Let me show you some stuff I've bought and some plans I have. So the whole reason I made an order with Barbarol Creations was because she had shown on her Instagram this new floss called Black Tulip, and it was like this like almost black purpley floss, and I thought that would be really nice for like a black work or a monochrome sampler, such as, you know, one of the black sampler Novembers. This isn't black, but it's pretty close. So I placed the order for this, and then it was one of those where like, hey, you can get free shipping if you buy a little more. So I bought the 46 count linen, and then I bought this red floss called Holly Berries. It's very beautiful, pretty classic red. And then I got this green, Christmas green. It's really pretty. I only got one of these because I was just trying to get to the free shipping threshold. I got some hand-dyed lace called October 31st to use as a trim. And then I got some hand-dyed rickrack in the color Rosewood. So that was the rest of the Barbarol haul. I took a trip to a new L&S. It's about an hour from my house, an hour north of my house. And it is a new L&S from Sherry, who is on Flosstube as Colorado Cross Stitcher. And Sherry owns a yarn store called the Loopy U. It's in Fort Collins, Colorado, which is north of Boulder. And she's had the yarn store for a while, and she's expanded and created a cross stitch store in the same space, but it's its own store, but in the same space. And so Betsy Klager, my friend Betsy, she lives very near me. She we had been planning to take a trip, and like it fell to go visit the store, and it fell through. And then actually what happened was I needed fabric for Mary Morgan's, because I realized I didn't have anything in stash, and I knew I was starting her soon. So I messaged Betsy like, do you want to go up there tomorrow? And she was free. So it was kind of like a last minute trip. But I knew that Alexis, My Amazing World, lived up that way. I think she's like 15 or 20 minutes away from the store. So she's really close. So I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? You should meet us. And she did. So I got to spend the day with Betsy and Alexis. It was a couple weeks ago and it was so much fun. They are just two wonderful, wonderful people. Hysterical. We laughed a lot. We laughed a lot. But I grabbed a few things from Sherry's store. So I needed to get the new Blackbird Designs book. It's called Honeysuckle Manor. This is a very good book. If you haven't gotten this already, highly recommend. There are some beautiful projects in here. There's this really pretty sampler. I mean, this book is like chock full of really pretty stuff. This one is really, I love this one. I think it's so pretty. I'm not going to show you the whole book, but like, I just wanted to show you that there's some nice, like there's some smalls too, but there are some nice, like big, generous charts in here. And then there are, you know, some nice smalls. And there were plenty in here that I would stitch. So it was definitely well worth grabbing this book. Okay, so I grabbed that, and then so Sherry has her own, she's released a few patterns out of her own, and she showed this one on one of her floss tubes, and I just loved it, and it's called Signpost Sampler Maker. So I grabbed that. So here's her channel, Colorado Cross Stitcher, and her store, and she has an online, her store's online as well, so you can order online if you can't make it to the store. But if you can make it to the store, I'd highly recommend it. It was that I forgot to mention, like, it was a very lovely store. I expected, I think based on like the pictures I had seen, I thought it'd be like a really small, like little, just like a cute little area. It was a lot bigger than I thought, and way more stuff in there even than I thought. But it is very nicely curated. It is, you know, she has brought in a nice selection. There's something for everyone, but it's not overwhelming. It's not like every chart that's ever been released where you're just a little bit like, where do I start? This is too much. Like, she's curated it for you. And it's kind of like the creme de la creme, like the best of the best. And then she has like a wall of floss. So she has like a very good floss selection, a really good linen and Aida fabric selection as well. Anyway, I got the Book of Days for 2022. A lot of you have been picking this up. I'm really excited about this. It's a much simpler record keeping. It's just a monthly view. I think this is going to work better for me. I get the happy planner, and it's got the weekly and the daily and I just don't use all of that. So I'm actually really excited about this, like, kind of more simple way. And I think it's going to work out really well for me. This was a total random purchase. This is a fat eighth of Newcastle linen, 40 counts Weigart in the color dark cobblestone. Nothing in mind for that. I just really like that color. And I just grabbed it just to have in stash. And then I have resisted this chart for years. I mean, since it came out. This is Carrich House Samplings, Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I loved it from the moment I saw it. I've almost bought it like 100 times. And I always talk myself out of it because it's a huge commitment. This chart is intense. I've seen a lot of people stitching on this over the years, and a lot of them don't get very far on this chart. And I just put it off and put it off, but I've always loved this chart. I've loved it. And Alexis was like the devil on my shoulder. She's like, just get it. Just get it. You need to just get it. I'm going to start it. We can start it together. You should just get it. And I was like, fine. You know what? I'm going to get it. I'm getting it. And then I thought, you know what? This is my reward when I finish And a Forest Grew. So I finished my 100 hours, but when I actually go back and finish it, my reward is going to be starting this big old monster chart. Halloween at Hawker and Hollow. And I bought fabric for it. This is Fiber on a Whim. The color is, it's a 40 count, and the color is Dunes. And it's a really pretty, like, greenish. I'm not sure how accurately that's showing up right now. It's like a green gold. It's going to look really good. So that's what I got from Sherry. And then the last thing I bought recently, Pam at Stitching in the Land of Good Enough has opened a new cross stitch store, and it is not near enough for me to visit. It's in New England. And she, so she just opened the store like last week. And she also has an online presence. So I was checking out like her Instagram and her photos of her store. And then my friend Amy, Gable's Stitcher, is actually very local to this store. I think she said it's 20 minutes from her house. So she went to visit, and she was sending me pictures inside the store. Like, look how cute this is, and here's the models. And I like zoomed in on one of the models on the wall, and I was like, what is that chart? I love that. And she's like, oh, that's actually my friend Becky's design company, Samplers and Such. So, and she's like, yeah, Pam has it. You can order it online. So I had to get it. So it's from Samplers and Such, and it's Quaker style friendship sampler. And Pam had both of these on the wall, and I think it's just lovely. And now my only dilemma is trying to I can't talk. I'm so excited. I can't talk. I'm trying to decide which way I want to do it. But I love it. So you can get that from Pam if you would like this chart as well. I don't think this is like a company that you can get just anywhere. And I think she has all of the designs from Samplers and Such for sale at her shop. The last thing I want to tell you guys about, this is not a purchase, but just a future plans. So yesterday, November 19th, was Betsy Klager's birthday, and she's doing a stitch along called Betsy is Old, Sal. Nikki Noodles created that hashtag for Betsy, and we decided we're going to start Blackbird Designs Little Birds. And I meant to start it yesterday, but I could not put, hey, let's show it one last time. I don't think you guys saw it enough. I couldn't put her down. I could not put her down last night. So I did not start Little Birds, but I am going to start it tonight. So this is a big Mama Jama. This chart is so big. She doesn't fit on a fat quarter of 40 count. She is 395 by 339. She big. So I had to go get a fat quarter, just to have a piece of linen big enough for her. And I'm just using Vintage Country Mocha because everything looks good on it and it's cheap. So I'm starting her tonight. Mostly called for, but some of them I didn't have, so I subbed like something that looked the same. So, from my stash. Okay, so that was all this stuff I bought. I totally forgot to do this earlier, but we can do it now. It doesn't matter. But I meant to do this earlier. But Fire Puppies, another wonderful LNS that's not local to me at all. Fire Puppies is also a brick and mortar store that has a really nice online store. And I actually just ordered the new Mirabilias through them. Have you seen? Okay, so Mirabilia has been doing like a zodiac sign release, and they just showed the new ones for Aquarius, Capricorn, and Pisces. And oh my goodness. Okay, I'm an Aquarius, so I was going to get that one no matter what. But what I was so excited about was the Aquarius and Pisces Zodiac women are women of color, which many of us have been like begging for Mirabilia to give us a little more variety. Mirabilias are gorgeous. They're stunning. They're wonderful. But they're predominantly just really pale, really, really pale white women. So just, I was so excited to see like just a little bit of diversity, finally, in those patterns. And but on top of that, they are beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful. Honestly, I wish I was a Pisces just because it is so stunning. If I remember, I'm putting pictures in right now. The Aquarius is stunning. I'm so excited that it's good. But I think the Pisces is just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So anyway, I ordered those from Fire Puppies. And just a heads up, for my birthday on January 29th, I will be starting the Aquarius Mirabilia Zodiac. But anyway, Oliver from Fire Puppies is delightful. I know he's not the only one that works there, but he's the only one I know. So anyway, he is amazing. Like I think it was Garrett at Coffee Stitcher that had told me, or not me, but had mentioned in the video, that you can like, contact Oliver and like, he'll do, he'll kit something up for you. And like, if you need substitutions, he'll do all that. It was kind of like this concierge cross stitch service. And so there's always like in the back of my mind. So, I was like, hey, can you get this for me? And like, can you get me all the beads? And can you get me all the fancy floss or Kristoff or whatever? Cause I didn't know what all was going to be needed for the chart. And I just like messaged him on Instagram and he was like, yeah, no problem. And like, just did it all for me, which is just so nice. And I know that they're not the only ones that do that. But it's just something I forget I can take advantage of. Like, I don't have to scour the internet or even like the cross stitch website of their company or any company and just try to like add every floss individually to my cart and like find all the beads and add the beads. And like, I don't have to do that. I can just have someone do it for me. That sounds kind of a little bad to say it that way, but it's true. So anyway, Oliver like kitted this all up for me. So I'm really excited to get that. But anyway, where I'm going with all of this is Oliver reached out to me and was like, hey, would you be interested in doing this little like giveaway thing with us? So Fire Puppies has a new mystery grab bag on like feature on their website. So they have, I believe, two like would you call them tiers? They have two mystery grab bags. So one is I knew this, but now it's left me. I think it's like a $15 bag, but it's a value of more than that. And then I think there's a $30 bag, but it's a value of more than that. Wouldn't you know, I totally forgot. So I'm going to just like put it in here on what we're giving away.
Okay, so it is a $30 bag with a value of $55.
You can win this mystery grab bag. What is in there? I'm dying to know. Whoever wins this needs to message me and tell me what was in there. Floss, fabric, chart, trims, needle minders. It could be anything. I cannot resist mystery grab bags or like blind box, like Kid Robot blind box figurines. Like, it's my weakness. Anyway, so I'm very tempted. I might be needing to get a mystery grab bag myself. I'm dying to know what's in there. Anyway, if you want to win one, why don't you comment below and use the word mystery. Just use the word mystery. And I'm going to pull a winner. Let's put a time limit on this because I'm going to let Oliver know who wins, and then they're going to send the bag straight to you. Like, I don't have to ship it, which is a good thing because I am horrible at ever getting around to shipping anything. So they're going to send it straight to you. So use the word mystery in your comment, and I'm going to pick a winner on, let's say, the last day of November 30th. So comment by then and you can win. And then you have the condition of your win is that you have to tell me what's in your mystery grab bag when it arrives. I need to know. Okay, so that's all the stitchy stuff. No, it's not. I lied. I have one more thing. I just looked over and saw this. I didn't see, I missed it. Okay. Barbara Anna. You know her, you love her. Barbara Anna, such a talented designer. She does these exclusive patterns with this Russian company called Nitka. And the reason she started doing this was she was so disappointed in a lot of her patterns being like illegally copied and shared. So she started doing these like exclusive kits with Nitka where you can't, like, you don't know what the DMC floss, I think it's DMC floss, but you don't know what it is, because it's in a kit on a floss card. And she makes these like just to kind of combat, I think, some of that like piracy that was happening. But anyway, this kit includes, that's upside down. It includes 2 charts. So there's one that's mushrooms and then there's one that's moths. And my friend Victor sent this to me because I was gushing. So he bought one for himself and then he bought one for me. So like I said, it comes with the fabric and the floss, and it's just DMC floss, but it's labeled as, you know, just like symbols and numbers. So you don't quite know what the DMC is. And I think that just makes it a little easier, or I should say a little harder for people to just share the charts, because it's like, you don't know what the colors are, right? And also they're not PDF files, because most of Barbara Anna's charts you can get as PDFs, but these you cannot get as PDFs, which again is an added element of making it hard to pirate and share. So, all right, that's all my stitching stuff. Books. If you don't care about book talk, you can leave now. You're not going to miss anything. We're just talking about books and then we're done. It's been a month, so I have read a ton of books. I have so many books to talk about. And so I am going to, hopefully, I can hold myself to this. I'm going to run through these really quick. We're not going to do like detailed summaries and analyses, hopefully, because we will be here for another hour. So I am really going to try to just like bang, bang, bang these out, give you quick impressions. And yeah, so let's see if I can do it, because what happens is I start talking about books and I just go into like this other realm, and 20 minutes later, it's like, what happened? So let's see if we can do it. Okay. I read Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This is a new book. It just came out like a month or 2 ago, and it is a series. This is not the only book. I don't know if he has said how many books it's going to be. It could be 3, it could be 6. I have no idea. But it will be more than 1. And I was so excited about this book because vampires are back. Vampires are back and I'm here for it. And this was an amazing vampire story. So this is an adult book. It is not young adult. It's a big old Mama Jama, but it's a little deceptive. It's not as, so it's 700 and something pages and you're like, good God. But there are illustrations and like chapter breaks, and I mean, it's a little less than it actually looks like, is all I'm saying, but it is a big book. But it's very easy to read. So I loved it. It's about vampires. Like that's what I'm not going to go on and on and on with like a summary, but it's a totally new world. It's not like our world. This is a fantasy world, but they are vampires sort of as we know, as we think we know, vampires. But there's also an order of half-bloods, which are half human, half vampires, who hunt down and eradicate vampires. So our main character, Gabriel, is of this order they're called Silver Saints. And they protect us from the bad guys. it's great. It was great. I can't go on and on because, you know, I said I wouldn't, but it was wonderful. I loved it. So I then read the last Outlander book in my reread. This is Written in My Own Heart's Blood by Diana. Still haven't figured out how to say it. Gabaldon. I think we decided it was Gabaldon. I'm pretty sure someone said rhymes with stone. So anyway, the new Outlander book, Go Tell the Bees I'm Home, comes out this Tuesday. And you know she's going to be big, right? These are big old books. You know she's going to be big. Anyway, so my one goal this year was to reread all of these books before the new book, and I did it. I reread this in October. I finished it. I met my goal. I'm ready for the new book. This is like the 7th or 8th book. I think it's the 7th book. So I'm definitely not going to go into a plot summary on this because it's just spoilers at this point. Like, it's spoilers for the show and it's spoilers like for the books. So I love this series. The reread has been wonderful. That's one thing I will say. The reread has been really nice because I've like reacquainted myself with those minor characters. Like, you know, the big characters, but these books are so big and dense and you tend to not read them back to back to back. And you lose some little details in between. And the first time I had read these through, I would take little breaks in between and then I would go back and some of those minor characters, I'd be like, who is this guy? Like, what is he doing? I can't remember. He's related to who and how and what part does he have to play? But doing the reread with them back to back helped those characters like stay with me, particularly like the characters I'm talking about are people like Sergeant Murchison and Captain, who's the guy in here? Richardson, I think is his name. And in between books, like if you gap too long, you're just like, who was this guy? What was he doing? So those characters stayed fresher for me. So I feel like I just got like a deeper understanding of these novels. Like you can still, of course, follow along and understand the high points, but I feel like, like I really, really know what happened now. This book, when I went into it, I was like, have I even read this? Like, I literally don't remember anything that happens in this book. And I was like, I had to go look. I was like, I might not have read it. Maybe I thought I read it and I didn't. And then like little bits came back to me and I was like, oh yeah, no, I definitely read this book. Okay. Like, yeah. But I had really forgotten so much. Like people get married in this book and I was like, they did? I don't remember that. And like people die and I'm like, what? He died? So it was shocking how much I did not retain of this book. And don't ask me why. I just didn't. But now I'm ready. I'm prepared, ready for the next book. Okay. I loved it. Loved my reread. I read Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. And I believe I had read this book, but it had been so long ago, like 10 years or more. I didn't remember anything. This book is wonderful. Loved this book. A lot of people are about this book because it's not like the movie. Like, it's just not. They are their own things. I think the movie Practical Magic with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, I think it captured the characters exactly. But they took a lot of liberties. So the book is quite different. But I think they're both so lovely in their own way. And I really enjoyed this book. And it was like reading it for the first time because it had been so long and I didn't remember anything. But I love the writing style and I loved like just getting a different angle on the story. And it was really, really good. Loved it. Okay, so then I read an ebook. So I'm gonna have to put a picture in of this book. So this book is called Atlas 6. It's by Olivia Blake. And this book has been taking like Book Talk and BookTube by storm. Like everybody's been talking about this book for months now. And so I finally broke down and like bought it on Kindle. It was like $4.99. It wasn't bad. And all I knew about this book was dark academia. Like it's literally all I knew. I knew nothing else going into this. I loved this book. This book is an intense character study of 6 really messed up people. So, I know that's not for everybody, but I love books like that, where you just like, these people just seem so real, and like they're, you know, it's just utterly fascinating to me to see like what drives people, what motivates them. And they're not good people, so that makes it even more fun to see, like, you know, the double crossing or the betrayals. This book is set in our world, but some people have magic. So there is a like society, and it's a post-grad, so it's dark academia, but this is more like if people were going for like their masters in something. They've completed their basic education, they've been through college, but now they've been recruited for like this society where it turns out it's like if the Library of Alexandria had not burnt down, and none of that information had been lost, and then we just continue to add to it over the years. So these are basically like gatekeepers for the Library of Alexandria, and they are recruited. 6 of them are recruited, and they find out early on like only 5 of them are going to make it through. So the book is about like who's not going to make it, like who are we getting rid of and how. And I don't want to spoil it, but it was just absolutely fascinating and captivating. I loved this book. One thing I will say, it is heavy on physics. You certainly do not have to understand physics. I have like just the barest grasp. I just knew enough that like some of the terms they were throwing out were like recognizable to me instead of being like, what? But just a warning, that gets a little dry. Sometimes they get like a little bit like nerdy into physics. But I think the author does a good job of like explaining just enough that you can kind of follow the storyline and kind of understand. But if you try to understand too hard and you really don't understand physics, you're going to be like, huh? What? So just take it on the surface and just realize that the physics is just like a means to get the magic to where it needs to be. But I loved it, and there's going to be another book, and I'm excited. I'm excited for that. So then I read a contemporary romance. This is Payback's a Witch by Lana, Harper. This is a new book. It just came out in October. This is, like I said, a contemporary romance, but it's fantastical. So the main character, Emmy Harlow, is a witch. Her little town in Illinois is like a wellspring of a source of magic. And so the town is very, very small and quaint and cute and magical. And she has fled the town and like given up on her magic, but something brings her back. She's unfortunately forced like to come back to town. And her magic is awakening, and now she's torn because she thought she had left it all behind, but she hasn't. And there is a sapphic love story, and I just loved this book. It was really, really well written, really fun, funny, cute, but also like had some deeper moments. And the thing I think I loved the most, like the love story was cute, it was fine, but I really loved the town. Like the town is its own character. It's such a cute town, and I want to go there. I want to go to there. So that was like a whole, like, just like chef's kiss on everything, was like just this beautiful, charming town. That's almost its own character in this story. It features a magical competition between like founding families of the town. But that's not like the main point of the book. So, but that was fun. Like that was a fun thing that also happens in this book. And there's going to be another book, and I'm really excited about it. And it's a character who we just barely met in this book. So it's not like, oh, this is going to feel a little bit the same. I think it's going to have a totally different feel to it. Because we really didn't get to know this character at all. So, and I know this because there was like an excerpt at the back of like the next book. And I was like, that is very intriguing. And I definitely want to read that. So loved this as well. Then I did, this was a really quick read. So this book is called Funeral Diva by Pamela Sneed. It is a couple of essays and mostly poetry, short, thin little book. I grabbed this at City Lights in San Francisco. It's published from City Lights. And I grabbed this when I was back over the summer. And this was a really powerful, like really nice, quick little read. So Pamela Sneed is a Black lesbian. She came of age and like came into herself during the AIDS crisis in New York. And she earned the moniker Funeral Diva because she would show up or she would be asked to come to speak at the funerals for these gay men who had died of AIDS, who were estranged from their family. And she would be asked to like come and speak at the funerals, and she became the funeral diva. So the book is primarily about her coming of age in that time. Some modern day stuff as well, but it's mostly about her childhood, her growing up, and then her experience in the AIDS crisis. It was very moving and very well done. Definitely some like absolutely like gut-wrenching moments in this book. I don't think it's something you can just easily find. This is an independent, like tiny little press. But if you ever come across it, I would highly recommend. It's really good. Really good. So then I read another ebook. Okay, so let me tell you about this. So I had heard somewhere like on a booktube, someone was like, I love, it was a book about, or it was a video about dark romance, like on Kindle Unlimited or something. And they recommended this series, and it's called the Ravenhood Trilogy, and it's by Kate Stewart. And the first book is Flock. And the person who recommended it was like, oh my God, these books are amazing. They absolutely like gutted me, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Like, you need to go in blind. It's better that way if you just go in not knowing anything. And then I messaged my sister because she's read like every book on Kindle Unlimited ever. And so I was like, have you read these? And she's like, oh my God, yes, they're so good. They're so good. Like, I still haven't gotten over the second book. Like, yes, they're amazing. So I was like, fine. Okay, sold. So I read the first book, tore through it. I'm like halfway through the second book. Oh my God. Okay, so totally agree. You need to go into these blind. Like, you don't, it's better if you just don't know what's going on, because the entire first book, the main character, the female protagonist, she's going in blind too. So she doesn't know what's going on. And so you're in her shoes kind of trying to figure out like, what does this mean? What is this? Why is this? And you're trying to like unravel it with her. And so I do think you should go in blind to these books. But holy crap, like they're just, how to describe, like you need to know a little bit what you're getting into. So these are dark romances, which usually means there's like some darker themes such as like dubious consent or violence or what they call like alpha holes, which is like the male love interest is like a jerk or a bully or like, you know, kind of mean in some way. A lot of times it's explained as like a misunderstanding, but basically like they're jerks, they're assholes. And they're usually very steamy, very explicit sex scenes. So all of that is true of this book as well. But that's all I'm going to tell you. But if any of that, if you are into like dark romance, you read this book. And then I'm only halfway through the second book, but yes, I will be reading the third. And oh my God, like there's so many moments in the second book even that I'm just like, what is happening? So good. So Highly recommend. And then I continued my Sookie Stackhouse reread. This is book 4. It's Dead to the World. This is most people's favorite book in this series. Get ready for a couple spoilers. This show, okay, the books have been out for ages. The show ended like 10 years ago. So like, I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but book 4 in season 4 of True Blood, book 4 in the Sookie Stackhouse books is the book where she has dumped Bill and Eric gets amnesia and he doesn't remember anything about his life. And she's taking care of Eric because he's in danger. And Sookie and Eric hook up. So this is everybody's favorite book. And there's, I mean, Eric Northman. So yeah, I love these books. They're super easy, super fun, like super don't take them seriously. I love this series, like for just brain candy. They're not great. They're not, but they're fun. They're so entertaining and the show is so fun. So loved it. Whew, we're almost done. I told you guys I read a lot. I listened to the second book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Two Towers, narrated by Andy Serkis, who plays Gollum in the movies. So I am continuing my, umpteenth reread. I've read this trilogy like 100 times. But I had never listened to them. I've always read them physically. So I listened to The Two Towers, which is the second book in the trilogy. And I will be downloading through Audible the third, Return of the King, narrated by Andy Serkis. He does a fantastic job. He does such a good job of these. He's a voice actor, so obviously he's really good at doing an audiobook, but just the way he can distinguish like between the characters and how close he gets to the accents of the actors who played the characters in the films is really remarkable and very, very entertaining. So what else to say about, The Lord of the Rings? It's my all-time favorite. So I love it. And then the last thing I did was I read The Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis. I have been meaning to read this for like a year, ever since the Netflix show came out and everybody was talking about how good it was. And then I realized it was based on a book. And I am one of those, I always want to read the book first. Like I want to read the book before I watch it, whether it's a movie or a mini series or whatever. So I finally read the book and now I can watch the Netflix show. It was very good. Sometimes very long-winded like analysis and details about chess. You do need to have at least a basic understanding of chess. I think you don't have to be like super great at it or anything, but you have to at least know like what the pieces are, I think, to kind of follow along with this book. But it was a very easy to read. Occasionally would get really bogged down in like the chess match of like he moved here, she moved here, he moved here, she moved here, and it's like, okay, like who won? But building the tension and the drama was done really well, but very, very easy to read. Blew through it like really, really quickly. Not like the most amazing thing ever, but like a solid, like very interesting, good read. And I'm very excited to watch the show now. So those were all the books I read. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 books in the last month. Whew, that was a lot. I will say that part of what's helped me to kind of be more productive with my reading right now is that I finally got an Audible membership and am dipping my toes into audiobooks, and that is just upping my numbers just a little bit more, getting a couple extra books a month that way, because I can stitch while I listen, so I don't have to pick reading or stitching. I can do both. And so I'm really enjoying exploring that. And if there are any Audible Plus books that you recommend, let me know, because I've saved a bunch of them. but you know, there might be some hidden gems. I am finding that the Audible app is not really easy to explore. Like the Audible Plus is the free books that are like included in your membership. And I'm finding like a little bit of a difficulty in exploring that. So I feel like I'm probably missing some stuff. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.